Guys, how we doing? So Dan from Trading with Dan here. So this is our Bitcoin evening update. So over to the charts. There we go. So yeah, had a bit of a wick down, didn't we today? Yeah, I was saying this morning how we needed to make a move from this zone, and if we didn't make a move up and we got below this 9,700, it wouldn't look very good, and it would look like we're at least going to come and test down, which basically is what happened today. So yeah, fortunately we were obviously for the time being caught by this bottom support zone. But the not so great thing is that we are still trading well underneath this sort of 9,400, 9,500 support zone. So obviously that is that's not good. Basically, that's an old support, new resistance, so an OSNR resistance. An OSNR level. So yeah, so what can happen is obviously we can get rejected by this, we can stay in this zone for a bit, come back down, and then once the oscillators have cooled off, we can then obviously break lower basically. So obviously at the moment that looks like what could happen. I mean, we've had it's a strong move down, so expect that to have momentum, but obviously we do know this is Bitcoin and Bitcoin does crazy stuff. Like we got a strong move down here, and then we were just bought all the way back up and we never saw those levels again. We had a few strong move, well, our initial strong move down here, we never actually saw that exact level again and made our way all the way back up. So and then obviously the big move that we did have down, obviously I'm not gonna, well, I will do it. Here we go. The big move we had down here, we never saw that low again, and then we eventually were brought all back up. So we do know that is part of Bitcoin's behavior. So that's that is something we do have to bear in mind when we look at the momentum of a move and think, well, that clearly has to just consolidate, retest some level, maybe like the 618 for example, and then carry on down. But that we do know Bitcoin doesn't necessarily work that way, so it is a difficult one to call. But at the moment, if we can, I mean, what I would say then, if we can get back above this 9,500 and start using it as support again, then it will start to look a lot like a lot of the other occasions that Bitcoin's had when we've done a similar thing. And yeah, and then we can potentially, well, it will look very much like we have an ascending triangle. I mean, what also we could do, because we've not got a lot of room, there's not a lot of price range at the end of this triangle now, and we are sat here. I wouldn't think it would be impossible for us to have another test lower, take out the low of this wick to trigger some more stops, get some more liquidity, also take out this support level that we've got here, this sort of clear horizontal level we've got here, just to get some more liquidity, and then pump us back up potentially. So yeah, I mean that is an option that I'm seeing. That's not something that I would think would happen last time, obviously, when we moved down here. When we took it all out, we took all these levels out anyway, but then when we came back up to here and we're trading here, I didn't think we were then going to come and make a lower wick. But this we're not as far away from this low now, so we could potentially have another wick down here, trigger some more stops, and then we could get like a pretty serious buy up then, literally just upwards and upwards and upwards. We could have the momentum to take us up then. But yeah, that's obviously a bearish stroke bullish scenario, obviously down first then up. But yeah, it is going to be a difficult one to call, because we are obviously now running out of space at this formation. We have pretty much had what it looks like a very good test of the bottom. I mean, what would be most likely to happen is that we stay in this range for a little bit, cool down, and then it's going to be a case of do we get some constructive price action to break back above this 9,500 level, and then start to look really good for an ascending triangle with a breakout that's going to put us into interesting territory, or are we then going to just consolidate down here and then drop out the triangle, which, don't forget, is only statistically probable that we break out the top of an ascending triangle, but there's still plenty of plenty of percentage chance of us falling out the bottom of the triangle. So that is clearly the case. So yeah, it's going to be, it's like this is it now. Bitcoin, whilst I was saying up here we will make or break, I mean it wasn't, I was saying it was sort of make or break, or we we're going to have to come down and test this and hopefully get caught by this ascending triangle level, this trend line. But now at this level, it now is pretty much make or break. Now it's actually make or break. It's because it's a case of we can't drop out of this formation now. And then really expect anytime soon to be getting back over 10k. That's the thing. So yeah, if we look at the 12-hour Stokes, are now obviously curled down, which is not good, and then the daily obviously clearly is, well, starting to curl. Well, yeah, the daily is not quite as clear. The daily is not as clear. It's sort of coiling up. It is technically facing down at the moment, but yeah. It's not quite as clear it is on 12-hour, and obviously clearly lower time frames, because obviously just what's gone on today is obviously going to be dragging them down. But yeah, I mean, so this is it. If you see like the 1 hour starting to curl back up, and I guess the 2 hour will eventually, maybe, well, if we stay here, we'll curl back up. So that's what will facilitate a consolidation in this zone. And then once these lower time frames are cooled down, it's then a case of do we break back up, or do we break down? So we are looking at some actual expanding volatility in Bitcoin, and that doesn't have to be one directional. You can have a certain number of handles expansion, but it doesn't have to be in one direction. So we could come down and then go back up again. Or we could just keep going down. But you will notice though that this move is not like some of the other wicks that we've had, where we basically are we're staying down, we're staying lower towards the bottom end of the actual wick now, rather than getting back up pretty quickly. So yeah, it is definitely make or break now, guys, because this level is important. You know that I don't particularly like these sorts of trend lines, but I prefer horizontals. But ascending triangles are a feature of Bitcoin's price history, and like its trading behavior, its personality, in much the same way that these wicks down and then getting bought back up pretty quickly are also part of Bitcoin's personality that you don't necessarily see in a lot of other markets. So yeah, one thing also I did want to say is that the main thing we've got to watch obviously is stock markets, because obviously we're not likely to have a big rally in Bitcoin if we're now getting a turnaround in stock markets. Let me just get this up, sorry. Let me just get this up here, and then I want to show you guys something else real quick. But yeah, so you can see we are dropping out of formations here. We've lost this trend line. We have clearly lost the 786. We lost this support horizontal, and now we're gunning for these two levels here, this horizontal and this 618. And unfortunately for the stock market, its personality is not like Bitcoin in the respect that we get these moves down and we wick straight back up again and it's all great. Stock markets will tend to, if it's going to go back up, it'll take time to build its way back up. And obviously you can see this moving down is pretty sharp, but what happens with stock market is more so, because it's a more properly traded market. It's not a scam as Bitcoin is, that we will tend to get basically trending behavior, and this momentum will have follow through. So I believe this is a strong move, and I do believe we've got the momentum to take out the 618 and take out this horizontal. And if we do that, I never really put a lot of weight on the 0.5 fib, on the 50% fib, just because I just don't really see it as an actual Fibonacci number. It's just 50%. It's just half. It's not like any of these numbers. So anyway, but nonetheless, so the 50% fib is an important horizontal, as you can see. So yeah, it's basically what I'm trying to tell you guys is if this keeps coming down, which I would expect it probably will. There are other reasons, other fundamental reasons, but I don't like getting into fundamentals too much. I don't like basing decisions on fundamentals, but there are pretty strong fundamental reasons why this is going to come down now, and why it was going up before. But yeah, if this does keep going down, it's got to drag on Bitcoin. One other thing I want to show you guys, well, two things, is I want to show you guys that this move in the stock market was pretty well telegraphed in my opinion. I was, for the last 2 days, basically buying puts like crazy over the last 2 days only, because if you see the 10-year, this is the 10-year yield. So this is 10-year. So when this goes up, this is basically the yield. Sorry, not the yield. The price of the bonds going down, because the yield's going up. So what you often get, what you always get pretty much, is when you get a move up in the bond market, in the yield, that basically signals risk off, because that's basically a selling off in the bond market. So money coming out of the bond market, the yield going up, and that money comes out of the bond market and goes into risk assets, including stocks. That's why you loosely see pretty much the same direction. It may not be to the same magnitude, but they generally go in the same direction. So we were getting some massive divergence here, massive divergence that in my opinion was just it didn't make any sense. And I was talking about in our Telegram group, I was talking about how the bond market is basically is the yield is selling off pretty strongly, and that is literally the rug being pulled out of the bottom, pulled out from underneath the stock market, but the stock market doesn't realize it yet. I was literally saying this in our group, and you can see we were just hovering around this level above 3,200. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the world is our lobster, like Del Boy would say. But anyway, so obviously we were forming this divergence with this yield coming down massively. This is a big move for the 10-year yield, and stocks were just sat there. So I was literally, this was happening yesterday and the day before, the 9th and the 10th. Look here when we already started moving down, then we started moving down even more. So this was telegraphing to me that we were going to get a big sell-off in the stock markets. This here and this divergence, this relative divergence, was telling me that we're going to get a sell-off in the stock market, which we got. So that is great. That's great for my puts, great for my positions. Right. So anyway, so now what I wanted to show you guys. So now look, so this is today then. So we're getting this sell-off. This is 11. This is today. So we already opened lower, and then we're starting to get this sell-off, and it's starting to look pretty, the sell-off we expected in the stock market. It's starting to look pretty weak. We're down by, if we get to around 2 o'clock, we're basically down about 2%, which is a big move for stocks, bearing in mind a lot of people have got into the short-term mindset that stocks only go up. So we're down about 2%, and we do know that stocks and Bitcoin are pretty correlated, and we also know that risk asset is risk off. We've got a big risk off trade that's been going on for a while as well. It's not just risk off. It's not just stocks. Equities aren't the only risk asset. So when you have a risk off, Bitcoin is a risk asset, but Bitcoin is a risk asset. So we're having a risk off signal from the bond market. We were also having a risk off signal from the stock market, with us being a lot lower at 2 o'clock. And then what was going on in Bitcoin at 2 o'clock today? So at 2 o'clock today, where are we? Here we go. So about 2 o'clock today, we're still sat here. We're still basically sat around 9,800, where we've been all this time. And I was thinking to myself, Bitcoin, if we're getting this sell-off we basically had this sell-off in the yield in the bond market over the past 2 days. We're now getting this basically we're in the process of a 2% plus sell-off in the stock market today. How's Bitcoin still staying here? So it obviously, well, I mean, obviously the answer was it can't, and it didn't. So yeah, so here we go. So basically, here's your opportunity. So we're just selling. We're on Deribit, where you can sell, where you basically can buy options, buy and sell options. So we're buying puts on Deribit for basically to expire tomorrow, for basically 9,500 strikes. And we're buying them. We're buying those 9,500 strike puts for like $20, $25, $30. And anyway, so we get the sell off. Those puts pretty much go up to about $300 or $400 at the actual low, roughly around $300. So that's like a 10x on those put positions that we're just getting so we're basically having two signals telegraphed to us, two trades, two short trades. We had the stock market sell-off telegraphed to us by the bond market, and then we have the Bitcoin sell-off telegraphed to us by the bond market and then the stock market. So obviously if you're aware of the interplay of a lot of these things, today is just one of those days. The last 2 days is two of those days where trading can be a lot easier than normal. You guys know I've been saying trading's been difficult here. This range has been difficult. It's been hard to trade, but we were starting to get some easier looking trades coming in, like we did here and like we did in the stock market too. So anyway, yes, that's just something for you guys to think about. Also, I want to show you, I'm not going to do the bot video because not going to do the bot video because the bots have been off, but I do want to show you guys the actual bot trades, because this is obviously typical of when you turn the bots off. When you turn the bots off, you all of a sudden, literally instantly, start getting some great trades. So I turned it off with all this chopping around here. So then what we have, we pretty much get a little bit more chopping around, and then we get this buy signal, and we get a big massive nice move up, which is great. That would have got us a load of profit. We'd probably have made back almost most of the losses that we had accumulated so far. And then we sort of flip around a bit. We don't really get a lot going on here, but flip buys and sells, so we just have a little bit of chop. And then we get buy signals again, 2 buy signals, and then we get a really nice spike up again. So there's more profit and more great profit, right? And then we get 2 sell signals. So obviously this is 2 sell signals. This will only buy when it's in green. So obviously these buy signals we're getting in all 3 trades. These buy signals we're getting in all 3 trades. These sell signals we're only getting in 2 bots, but that's fine though. That's fine. 2 out of 3 bots is fine. So we get 2 great sell signals from the 2 bots, and then we get this massive dump there. Excellent, that's great. Then we get buy signals. Buy signal doesn't really go anywhere, but it gets us short again. Look, it gets us short again. And then we have this massive sell-off here. So yeah, and then we get 2 buy signals here, which are actually in profit because they basically bought roughly this low here. Whilst I haven't had the bots on, it's always the case. I've turned bots on and off before, and it just seems to be when I finally get to the end of my tether with the bots, just the price action being awful. This price action being awful, that it just gets to the point where I turn them off, and then it's like almost instantly we get like, if we count all these trades up, this is basically 3 great bot longs, and then we get 2 great bot longs, then we get 2 great bot shorts, and then we get 2 great bot shorts, and then I mean we've got 2 bot buys here, but we don't know how this is necessarily going to work out, but it's in profit at the moment. Yeah, so there you go. There's the bot. There's the bot roundup. So anyway, yeah, so right, video's gone for a bit long now anyway. So thanks for listening, guys. Remember, this is not a financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, so always do your own research. And yeah, we're gonna do some videos on the derivative options. It's a bit hard for me to do videos for my actual proper broker for actual stock markets, but I only trade I don't trade Bitcoin options with those anyway, so we'll do some derivative videos. So I'm going to set up a derivative account with just a small amount of Bitcoin, and we'll just use that for some basic lessons. So right, so thanks for listening, guys, and I will speak to you guys soon.